Perfect. And I think we are live. Good morning or good afternoon for everyone listening, depending where you are. My name is Dana Florescu. I'm representing Wolf Summit in today's interview, and I'm here with Eva Galant. Hi, Eva. How are you?
Hi, Dana. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And good morning, good afternoon.
Likewise, thanks so much for coming. What we have planned for today is to go through your progress, your evolution of Hashiona for the last year and a half now. You said you obviously were one of our startups that pitched at Wolf Summit in March, just at the start of the pandemic. So I think would be quite interesting for every founder listening in to hear your experience and also how you got to build a health tech company, right? And how you got to where you are today. So maybe for everyone listening, just giving a quick round of intros, Eva, your background and what Hashiona does.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. So once again, hello, everyone. My name is Eva Galant. And today I'm representing Hashiona here. Hashiona is a mobile application that helps people with Hashimoto and hypothyroid to get into clinical remission, help to improve the day-to-day quality of life, mostly because the disease itself is not curable. So the only golden grail for those patients is to get into remission, put this disease kind of into the sleep, control the symptoms, control the disease, and keep going with it. And in terms of my background, I'm originally came from Poland. I live in the UK for the last 7 years. My background is in IT. I used to work with plenty of startups around the world, different industry. So I always have been in this kind of environment in terms of startup. And I decided to set up Hashiona because it's connected to my personal history. So I'm also a Hashimoto patient. So everything related to thyroid disorders is really close to me. I have been almost self-diagnosed 6-7 years ago, just after basically when I moved into the UK. And that's how my history started. I struggled with this disease for a long time. It took me over almost a year to fix myself, as I tend to say, and control the disease. And then after I had this idea in my head, it was chasing me for many, many years, mostly because I'm being in this patient community. I have seen a lot of personal tragedy. This disease, if it's not controlled, if it's not normally, it can really be a very day-to-day struggle. And it can cause that people basically losing their jobs, this getting into divorces, this getting into troubles with a personal relationship with family and friends and so on and so on. And also those people feel very lonely. So I decided that I realized basically that I was pretty privileged situation because when I was diagnosed, I was already living in London, I was working as a contractor, so I could easily put this on the side and focus on my health. I have all the resources. I have time. I have money. I have those things to handle it. Many other patients, many other women, mostly because it's a women disease around the world, they don't have this chance. So I said, okay, that's my time now to help those people.
That's I think. And this is really interesting. It's an interesting story and obviously a very personal story, Eva. So thanks for sharing that. It's sometimes difficult to get through the day, even when you have a headache, albeit having a disease that would obviously affect and trigger so many changes in your life. But what's interesting, and we talked about actually just earlier before we started the broadcast, you obviously been exposed to many ecosystems. You've worked in real estate, you've worked in IT, you've worked with a lot of startups. You are building a relatively technical company and addressing a problem that, it's challenging or complex, especially from a health point of view. How a founder would start or would change or transition from an IT industry or real estate into building a company? How easy or difficult was it for you?
Yes, you're definitely right, Diana. I personally have been exposed to many different industries, but always when I work with either with startup or corporates or other company, there's always this kind of tech bit. So the tech was always the thing that surrounded me, and just being my profession. In terms of like how to build a health tech product or how to set up health tech kind of startup, this is not easy. That's definitely is not easy. Mostly because health tech, similar to fintech or not many others industry, they are very high regulated. Plus, it's not enough that you have like me technical skills. You also have to have a medical skills, right? Because this is all what it's all about. This is about medicine, helping patients, and this is a high risk not only in terms of regulation, but also if you fail, it may cost someone else's life, or it may cause a real damage. So first of all, if you do not have medical background and you think about starting a health tech company, you must find either a co-founder or surround yourself with an expert, because you wouldn't be, even if you are like me, you may be a patient with many years of experience fighting the disease or whatever it is, you wouldn't be still credible. You wouldn't get the credibility, and you must remember that everyone is different. Everyone's body is different, so everyone may react a little bit different on the same things. So first of all, find either a doctors or the other specialists in your area that will support you. That's what we did in Hashiona on the very early stage. We have 3 clinical dietitian in our team supporting us with all of the life habits, diet changes, and so on. And we have doctors which are mentoring us. And also recently, we onboarded our own medical chief officer, Dr. Miriam Mikitsky. She's NHS certified doctor, and she's also a big passionate about a holistic approach. So this is super important that you have those experts on the board, that you have the support, and so on. There's no other way creating it. And then you also have to understand the whole environment, which is different country by country. So there's a lot of regulation that you have to understand, security, all of this that are sensitive. And also they are very country by country. Even in European Union, when we pretty much have in others industry, we have like one market and all the regulation are the same. In terms
Absolutely.
of like health tech or health systems, that they are unfortunately different. So you have to get this knowledge.
Yeah. But you obviously you mentioned NHS. So I assume you're also based in London with a company. Let's talk about how you started and particularly the moment you started, because it was quite a challenge for a lot of people, for most of us. Maybe going back to the beginnings, you came from a trip to Australia, and that turned into starting a company right before the pandemic. Can you tell us a bit more?
Yes, definitely. So as I mentioned you on private, Anna, my ex-employer sent me to Australia. It was a part of my job on a 6-month contract, and that was followed by many of years of really straining my body and having exhausting hours, a lot of flight, jet lag, eating out because of the business meetings, and so on. So basically, I had this kind of lifestyle that I shouldn't have with Hashimoto. This kind of lifestyle that Hashimoto don't really like. And finishing my contract in Australia, I realized that I was kicked off from the remission, which means all of my symptoms came back and I feel really down. And I knew I have to change something in my life, because I can be super ambitious, I can do many things, but my body is basically not coping with those ambitions. So I came back from in December 2019 from Australia back to London, and January 2020, I left my ex-employer, and then I was thinking, okay, what will be next for me? And I was considering different options, but any single time when I was about either like talk to someone about the job or talk to headhunters or sending CV somewhere, I was like feeling really like resistance to it. I knew that somewhere there inside I don't want to do it. And then I started to look into myself and thinking like, okay, what is the thing I really want to do as a next? And with my mind, I was coming back all over again to the idea of creating Hashiona. This is the idea that was chasing me for the last 6-7 years, like with this disease and so on. So I decided like, okay, March 2020, I put everything on one card. I invited my co-founder to join me, and we started to work on Hashiona. Obviously, the timing was a little bit unfortunate or fortunate, maybe from other point of view, because it was just before the pandemic started. So I mentioned you previously, I was in Warsaw for one of the life science meetup, and I stayed one night longer to attend in this event. And then the government announced that they were gonna to close the border, so I have to rush into the airport to get back to London. And that's how it started. And obviously the circumstances are hard. Nobody of us could be prepared something like that, like global pandemic, right? And on the very beginning, we were reacting as everyone else. We were panicked, like, okay, what we're going to do? We just set up a company. It's 2 weeks when we are working on this idea, and then how we are going to do it? Like how I'm going to meet the partners that I need when I cannot go on any conferences or IT events, or I cannot travel for meeting people. How I'm going to collect or do my customer development when I cannot meet the patients face to face, and so on and so on. How I'm going to find them. And all of these questions will be popping up in our head. But with the time, and especially with the time perspective, I may say with a huge certainty that pandemic actually helped Hashiona to develop. And not only Hashiona, all the health tech industry obviously get a lot of light and spotlight during the pandemic. So I think at the end of the day, it was a fortunate for us to...
You know what it says, that sometimes timing actually is one of the most important elements that would define or break a startup. And I think it's one of those factors that really gets overlooked. And you're perfectly right, Eva, about the timing when you started, because I remember in October last year, during the semifinals of Wolf Summit, we tend to gather over 1,000 startups every year. So they're coming from different industries, different backgrounds, different countries as well. And it's really boiling down to the top 8, and then even smaller than that to pitch in the finals. But it really happened. The majority of them, I think over 80%, were in health tech. So the health tech industry, especially telemedicine, being able to provide your patients, like you do, access to new treatments or even advice online, it was absolutely key. So you didn't also lose any time at all, because you started in 2020, right at the beginning, and then in March same year you were at Wolf Summit already pitching. Tell us how that come about, how that happened essentially.
Yes, that's completely correct, Anna. It was one of the first event we participate online, one of the first pitching. So I remember it very clearly. It was very beginning. So we only knew the high level assumption about Hashiona. We just have started to build the product. So we were super early stage. But even despite this, we get, I think, to the quarterfinals. So we have been somewhere high. We have been pitching on your main stage, which was a kind of thing for us. Mostly because obviously when you pitch virtually, it's a little bit different than when you pitch in the real event. You don't see the audience, you don't see the audience reaction, so it's hard to get it. It's a little bit like some kind of differences. But then many months later, when we pitch in so many events, so many accelerators, so many barcamps, it gets into being a habit and being a completely normal thing to pitching over Zoom. Like even right now, right? We have have a webinar and so on. So that was a thing, but I definitely remember the moment because it just was fantastic timing as well when we decided to start this company, and then Wolf Summit is going to happen. I think it was also your first virtual conference, so I think for you as well, it was a lot of work to bring everything in such a short time. So well done, because the organization was very smooth. There was no problem whatsoever. I remember we used Hopin as well. So the whole thing organized, it was excellent. And and then it's fantastic timeline. I obviously, well, when we decided to run the company, we check all of the events around Poland, CE market, and then Western Europe as well. And obviously, Wolf Summit was one of the biggest one that's pop up in our mind.
Thank you for the kind words, Eva. It was, to be honest, I don't know how visible this was from the outside, but we kind of learned with you guys on running that conference in March. We really had to land on our feet, and I believe Mike mentioned this in a couple of interviews by now, but we had to move the entire conference onto a virtual environment in just 2 weeks. It was very stressful, and to be honest, all the credit goes to the team that they managed to turn around such a big event. And as you said, it went pretty well. But then a lot of things have changed. So the hybrid format still stays with us. The upcoming edition in October, it will be a hybrid format, especially for the Great Pitch Contest. It's quite interesting because you're perfectly right when you said sometimes you have to look at the audience to feel their reaction, right? To see their mimic, to see their gestures, and kind of adjust your pitch. This time we are opening up the possibilities. If people want to come in person and pitch, perfect, we can make that happen. If you can't come because of various reasons, you can pitch online. And this really helped to have founders of different stages, different countries, even outside of big cities, right? To make it happen.
I was just gonna to say it, but before, to be honest, really, if you move this conference in 2 weeks, nobody would ever notice it. Probably everyone was thinking that you were doing this forever.
For a while, yeah.
Well done. A lot of work, because I know that by my personal experience, I used to organize some meetups, conference, and even for startup as well. Not on that scale like Wolf Summit, but there were even some of them up to a couple of thousand people. And I cannot imagine moving something like this from being a real event to being online in such a short time. It's even like preparation of people, a lot of speakers, or even lectures that don't know how to use. Zoom wasn't even that popular at that time, and so on and so on. So, I mean, really well done. And then in terms of the hybrid model, I'm very glad that you said that. And I'm very happy that you're going to keep this kind of model, because for people like me who are not in Poland, who are just in the UK, and right now, to be honest, I'm still waiting for my second dose of vaccine. So I'm not going to travel anywhere. I'm not able even to travel anywhere. So for people like us being in different places, this is a big advantage, because then we can attend the Wolf Summit, right? In some different circumstances, I don't know if I would be able.
Sure.
Obviously, until October, I expect being fully vaccinated, but they're a different story. And as well, for startup founders, where we are on this early stage, so busy with so different things like building the product, getting the customers, building our team, and so on, we have to very carefully choosing how we split our time and so on, and
how you prioritize. Exactly.
And we don't. And the more there is a hybrid model events or online events, the more we can attend without the fear of missing out of the excellent speakers or excellent events. So
exactly.
I'm really and I hope to see you there in person in October.
Me too. And you hit the nail on the head, because we have a really large representation of startups from the UK or the US, actually, and a lot of companies. And I used to work in accelerators as well. The startups that are growing and the founders that are busy and they focus on the mission, they really want to stick to the startup. They will always prioritize operations and getting things done, and usually, or even stay, obviously, not top of their mind, but hopefully this will also allow other people remotely to join. Different companies join this conference for different reasons. You were at an early stage when you joined. What were you looking for? Was it validation? Were you looking to fundraise? Both? Customers? What was it for you?
So as you mentioned, we were on the very early stage, so it was too early for us to fundraise, but we were looking for feedback. We're looking for feedback in the reaction of the industry, of the mentors, of jury, of people who have more experience than we do. And also we usually participate in events, especially as I tell you before as well, I know Wolf Summit since the very beginning. I was fortunate to attend some of your previous events in person in Warsaw, and I knew that Wolf Summit is a great opportunity to find potential business partners and some other connection to the people that you look for. And that's in fact happened, right? We got a couple of, after the pitch, we got a couple of interesting emails with potential partnerships. So this is our goal was completely achieved. For me as a CEO, I like as well sometimes to pop up on interesting speeches when you invite those guests, especially from abroad, with different kind of backgrounds. So that's also could be interesting for. When you are early stage startup, you're looking for those information, you're looking to learn about the market, you're looking about a benchmark and so on and so on. I didn't have a chance yet to participate in your workshop, but I know you are doing it because I spoke with Michael the other day, and I'm looking forward to attend one of those as well, because the speeches are usually interested, but once you are in this industry, once you know your market, you know your industry, there are not that much new things for you. But when you have a workshop, that is something that you can learn from, founders with fantastic background who are already successful, and pick up this kind of good and bad practices for them.
Yeah, this is really great feedback, Eva. And I mean, we're really trying to adapt the conference every year, especially because of the environment, which is really changing really fast. Workshops will definitely be one of the aspects that we want to bring back. And I think exactly, and I think that with more mature startups, also like yourself, obviously is now almost 18 months, right, since you started. There are certain aspects that a founder would look at, would probably be more interested in go-to-market strategies, scaling, pricing strategies. Some are really interested into marketing and sales. So we've done a couple of workshops with HubSpot. We're looking to bring those back as well. And it's interesting, one thing you mentioned was that you look for validation, the response from the market. So obviously you had that in mind. There was anything that you did before the conference to prepare? I'm mindful there are some founders that might be listening in, and they might attend in October. So any thoughts or feedback you have?
A couple of general advice how to prepare for the conference in that scale, especially because obviously when you're going for events where it's like between 50, 100 people, that's easy because you can meet everyone, right? When you have a couple of thousand or a dozen of thousand people attending one conference, it is much harder. So it is super valuable for startup to be prepared and put some kind of goals. What do you want to achieve by attending this conference? So what I usually do historically attending conferences on scale of Wolf Summit, I usually search or scroll through the list of attendees and try to identify potential partners or potential people that I want to talk to it. Once I identify them, I was basically messaging them even before the conference, even a week or 2 weeks before the conference, to ensure that during the conference, when we have a chance, we can meet and talk even for like 15, 20 minutes, because it's basically, there are not this kind of long discussion, right? You're not there to pitch to them for 30 minutes and get something. You just get to get initial contact. And once you get the flow, once you feel like you both may cooperate together in the future or be interested in any potential cooperation, you get the business card, you get the connection or the LinkedIn profile right now. Business card doesn't exist anymore, and then you just schedule follow-up meetings when you talk in details. I'm just actually thinking about it because recently one of our employees made me aware that we never have a business card in the team. We don't even have a design.
I think it's the millennial, it's the millennial generation that I think we're, maybe not just millennials, but even the younger generation. You're just born and you're raised with a mobile phone in your hand. I think I know. It's an interesting thought, to be honest. The problem with LinkedIn is that sometimes, unless you move jobs, you have an exciting update, it just generally tends to be outdated. But I'm sure there's startups that are trying to solve that. There's companies that are trying to keep contacts up to date and have digital business cards. There was something that I wanted to ask Eva about your development for the last 12 months, because at the summit, as you said, it was probably a bit early stage. You wanted to have that validation. However, there's been some exciting updates with Hashiona for the last 12 months. Tell us what happened and where you end up, basically where you are today with the team.
Definitely. So since March 2020, a lot of things happened. We developed our product, which we are now validating. Is still in beta phase, but we have around 7,000 active users. We launched, that was in Poland. We launched also English version and opened the application for people from around the world, which is super important. We are preparing our iOS version, which will be launched on the 1st of September this year, and as well will be connected with the pretty advanced paid campaign in the US. So that's what we are doing right now. But we also grow our team. We have fantastic team members. I couldn't be more grateful and lucky to get such a fantastic people on the board. So we have a fantastic team of 15 people, and also a couple of freelancers that cooperating with us. We have been very happy to participate in a couple of very interesting programs. So we went through like probably six different accelerators. I do not recommend that because it's super extensive in that phase, but it helped us a lot. So we have been in, we started from the Reactor X in Poland, which we won. Then we participated in Stanford Rebuild. That was an online program on Stanford University for post-pandemic startups. We have been part of H+ Innovation. It's a program in Munich in Germany dedicated for health tech startup and insurtech startup. Then we have been as well in MIT CE Forum. We have been awarded the 3 different awards as well. So we were 3 times winner, which is super fantastic and exciting. And at the end of it, we participate in a program organized by Draper University and United Nations Development Program in Silicon Valley. And we end up with being in portfolio of Draper University. Super excited. Basically between December and March, December 2020 and March 2021, we also raised our first pre-seed round of 450,000 euro. So super exciting. A lot of things happen. I couldn't be more grateful for this journey. It's fast, it's demanding, it's challenging, but it's giving us, all of us, I think, me and my co-founder and my our teams, a lot of satisfaction. So
I think it's just the right pace for a successful startup and how it should grow. And you guys, you show that if you set your mind to it, you're doing it. It's happening. It's 15 people going through 6 different accelerators, already raising a pre-seed round, launching on iOS. It's already live on Google Play. We're talking about over 7,000 users. I mean, and that's less than 18 months. It reminds me of also an interesting chat I had with Hopin and their VP of Finance, and with Axel, who invested in Hopin. Because even though it's a different startup, different industries, you look at these companies that are extremely successful and you look at their growth and their pace, similar. I mean, a company that has grown from essentially 5-6 people to right now, I think, I don't know, surpassing about 300 people. I'm always careful with these numbers because every single month they change.
And it's really something we will look into. It's so impressive how I build it. I think it's one of the element. There's a couple of startups like that. They grow like that during the pandemic, but Hopin definitely was one of the leaders of progress. And
we're really fortunate. We're fortunate to be collaborating with them. I think there's no secret anymore. This interview is also live on Hopin website. But Wolf Summit, we had to also just think on our feet and restructure some of the operations because of the pandemic. Obviously, almost everyone in the event industry was affected in one form or another. And if there was one thing that we're particularly good at, is running these events, right? So being extremely good at the logistics and the technicalities and marketing these events. And we're really fortunate to have worked with Hopin as an event agency for the last 12 months. And you mentioned UN and a program that you've been part of, the last one. We shared this organization that we organized most recently, Vienna Energy Forum, which is a UN event just last month.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's fantastic.
So Eva, tell me about your plans for the upcoming year. I mean, we're looking at another second half of the year, another 6 months, and then the long-term horizon. What's next for you?
That's a lot of things that we have in mind. But starting from the next couple of months, which will be super important for us, we're planning to conquer the US market. And then after that, we will be back on the market with the fundraising. So probably in October, we will try to raise our seed round. And then just after, we'll be growing as much as possible our database of the users and start to getting a partnerships with enterprise, because our long-term business model is focusing on B2B2C platforms. So we don't want to charge the users. So this is time as well for us to start to talk to enterprises. Obviously, those cycles we will say are much longer, and they are around 12 months and so on. But that's the things that's happening to us. And what I think is super exciting, and especially for our research and medical team, is we will be extend the platform for other autoimmune disease. So it will be not only Hashimoto, hypothyroidism, and everything about thyroid disorder, but it also affects all autoimmune diseases, because most of the patients have a couple of them. So a lot to do for the next couple of months, but we are super excited about that, and cannot be much more proud of what our team achieved so far.
And you should be, because it's an impressive journey in such a short period of time. If I may ask, any plans of fundraising or raising another round anytime soon?
Yeah, definitely. So we will start the fundraising round in October this year, if everything will go okay, and we will be looking for seed round. We don't know how much yet. It will be defined shortly. We are in the progress of estimating those according to our plans, but that's what will happen. So between October and March, we will be definitely fundraising. So if any investor or venture capital funds are listening to us right now, please have a look on Hashiona or ping me on private.
Well, let's do this way, Eva. Let's start your next fundraising round at Wolf Summit in October, because it's happening. Definitely. It's happening between the 19th and 21st. This time is taking place in Wrocław, so it's a bit closer to the German borders, so even closer to Cambridge or London, where you are. Obviously, it would be a pleasure to host you again, have you present, and definitely meet with the investors that will be attending.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really be there. Wrocław is such a beautiful city, so.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's lovely. And also there's a new venue happening. There's a couple of aspects that we're changing this time with the conference. So there's more information on the website on wolfsummit.com for everyone that is interesting to check. Eva, time really flies. So I've really had a lovely conversation with you and a great time. Do you have any final words for anyone listening? Anything that you like to announce, or just just any final words?
Yeah, definitely. If there are any potential new founders among us, please choose your dreams and don't give up. Like try to be what you have in mind, and never discourage, because what is our life about choosing the dream that we have? So I really encourage you to do what you plan. And yeah, and that would be everything from my side. Diana, thank you so much for the invitation. It was a pleasure to be here with you. And definitely, as I said, the time flies and we can probably talk for another 2 hours, but we also have to come back to our work. So
come back to our startups. Where can people find your app?
Right now, the app is available in a Google Play Market. So just go to the Google Play Market and pop up Hashiona. You will find us. Application is free, so you can try it, install it, and see what we're doing. And starting on the 1st September, you can also download us from App Store in iOS platform.
Yeah, and perhaps in the meantime, they could probably sign up to a waiting list and be notified.
Yes, definitely. And you can also follow us on all of the social media we have. And obviously, if you have Hashimoto or know someone who has thyroid disorder in your family, amongst your friends, please let them know about us. Invite us to the social media, to our close Facebook group as well, when we build the community, and let them know about the app. That's the most important.
Thank you. Thanks so much for your time, and thanks for everyone listening in. And it was a pleasure again being here with you today. Have a lovely time, everyone, with the summer or holiday if you're listening, maybe on a sunny beach. And we'll see you shortly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.